15, 20 years. There's nothing to really talk about from when I was born. Like, there's nothing that's happened.
Yes, I've got great memories. We were a decent team. Law, Dalglish, just great players, and with a lot of good players at the same time.
The older generation, they've seen Scotland compete. They've seen the top players for Scotland play the World Cups and the Euros. People in my generation, it's harder for them because they just think, oh, we don't make it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I'm just kind of not going to bother.
It's easier to be negative, definitely is easier, basically because they have never seen Scotland doing well. I'm Andrew Redmond, and I've been following Scotland since my late teens.
My name's Craig Brown. I play for Montrose, and my grandfather is also Craig Brown. Obviously, he was the last guy to take us there, and I just see him as my grandpa, really, that enjoys talking about football.
We're not expecting to beat the better teams, whereas previously we would have had a go at them, you know.
When I was younger, it was just a hope, like hoping that your nation can go and compete. And then after the game, if you lose, you just feel so down, disappointed, deflated. I've
been almost in tears at times, just shaking my head after a defeat somewhere, you know.
A lot of my mates and that, they all get fed up and stuff and think, oh, I can't be bothered watching them anymore and stuff like that. So I suppose it is easier to walk away when Scotland aren't doing so well.
I would say the results in the football not being great is a slight understatement. It's been terrible sometimes, really terrible. But being a Scotland fan, you've just got to have perseverance. The biggest lesson? Patience, probably.
Even though Scotland have seen 20 years of rubbish, to be honest, you should still stick by them. See, me and my family, we are positive about Scotland. Like, that comes from my granddad.
You've got to believe that we can surely do better than the last competition.
I remember we were around the pool and he was sat with his trunks, flip-flops, top off, sunbathing, just having a snooze, and folk would come up and tap him and that and get photos, and I'm thinking, Dad, what are they doing? He says, oh, it happens all the time, son. He would speak for 10, 15 minutes with him, talking about Scotland. So he's positive, and that kind of just comes off onto me, I think. So I'm always positive about Scotland.
It's just, people, oh, what are you doing that for? They're playing rubbish and so on. I'm a supporter. I don't just support a team when they're playing good. Support them, thick and thin. Italy, Austria, Faroe Islands, France, Georgia.
This is probably one of the oldest photos I got of me and my grandpa. When I started playing football, I was about 7 or 8, and obviously you're kind of oblivious to who my grandpa was. So it was only really when I got to the age of like 10, I kind of began to realise when my teammates and coaches and stuff would talk about it. It was hard to kind of put together that my grandpa took us to the World Cup. There's a few holes in that on it because I put it up on my wall, but that's one of my favourite ones I've got.
Norway again, Polska, Poland, England. I started doing this maybe about 2010. Ireland, Georgia, Portugal, Czech Republic. I would buy a badge in the country that I was visiting and put it on. Russia and Cyprus again. In chronological order. The money you spend is probably the only downside, because I just enjoy it. It's just in my heart, it's just in my blood. They've never seen Scotland doing well in a tournament. They've never seen Scotland get into a tournament. It's been a long while. My advice, just keep having hope. Just keep going to games, keep supporting them.
Well, I hope that Scotland aren't just there. I hope Scotland compete, and that could be me, classic Scotland supporter, building ourselves up for a fall, but I think that we can go and compete against these nations and give it a right go.
Bit of positivity. Come on, we can do this. Doesn't always work, but come on, we can do it.